Welcome everybody to the ANFF-Q's first nano and micro fabrication techniques workshop. The aim of this whole workshop is to try to give you some idea of what fabrication is and how we do it here at Queensland and across the ANFF network. My name is Jane Fitzpatrick. I'm the facility manager here at ANFF-Q, which is one of the 8 nodes around the country that provide fabrication tools and services to the Australian research community. Our schedule for today looks something like this. It's slightly different from the one that was advertised due to a couple of other administrative bits and pieces. So if anybody needs to know what times we're doing anything today, just please come up to the front. I do have a printed one up here if you need to refer to that at any time. We will be providing tea morning tea, but we're also running 2 tours during that time. So we would like everybody to come over to the AIBN foyer, which is where we're going to host the morning tea, and then from there is where we're going to bring you up to do the tours of our facility. The third tour and the 4th tour will be in the breaks later during the day. We also would like to notify everybody in the room that this is actually being recorded as a UQ lecture, so that the same Echo 360 system is in play. So this will actually be available online to be viewed after this event. So, ANFF, who are we and what do we do? So ANFF-Q has world-class facilities for fabrication. We provide those as an open access facility to anybody who wants to use them. Academics access us for very heavily subsidized rates because that's who our target market is. But we also allow industry and anybody else who requires our services to access this facility, especially for Australian business. What we do as the bio-nano node, because each of the nodes has a particular speciality. Our speciality is bio-nano. And each of the nodes works on a slightly different area of expertise. So in fact, we will also have the likes of the OptoFab node who work on optical fibers and lasers. And then we also have the materials node who work on how to get materials, how to develop new materials and how to get those into production of different sensors or into different areas. So depending on what you want to do, you may not be us that are the best experts to talk to, but we'll certainly be able to put you in touch with the people who can now help you do what you need to do. One of our key advantages is that we have professional officers sitting in our facility waiting to help you. Not only do these guys know how to use the instruments and know how to train you to use those instruments, they also have research backgrounds or industry backgrounds. So they're able to actually look at what you want to do and reality check it. Because a lot of us will read a paper, think that's what I want to do, and then try and reproduce that. We can actually go have a look at it and say, well, actually, what you want, the result you want to get will actually be done better doing this method. So we can actually reality check your thought processes, especially in things that you're not experts in. That's what we are. We are the experts in this fabrication area. So all of these guys are situated in ANFF-Q. So we have all the guys in the pink shirts are here in UQ. The guys in the black shirts are located down at Griffith University at their facility. So we actually have a number of sites within the ANFF-Q, 3 at University of Queensland and 1 down at Griffith University. So between all of those sites, that's where all of our equipment is housed and all of our people. So the goals of ANFF-Q. So ANFF-Q is not a research group. We do not write our own papers. We do not write our own grants, as you would know it. So what's our goal? What are we here for? So we're actually here to help you get your grants, write your papers, get your theses, write your patents, all of that kind of thing. That's what our job is. So we're not here to push our own agendas, push our own research plans. So we're here to make sure that you get something new, that you know who to collaborate with to actually get the best out of your ideas. Get technology that's gone through that kind of first testing phase, you know, that you've done it in the lab bench, you think it's going to work, but you now need to push the design a little bit further and make it a little more realistic. We can help you mature that technology through. And also supporting publications. One of our key metrics is how many papers actually have the acknowledgement ANFF in the bottom of it. So we request that any papers that you publish using our facilities, that you put an acknowledgement in. That's it. So the benefits of using ANFF-Q. So we have a very large network. So it's not just the people in Queensland that you're talking to, it's all of the users, all of our clients, all of the group leaders who use us. We're also able to put you in touch with those in case you need collaboration. We've also got almost 100 people across the nation who are working in fabrication. So if we haven't got the expertise, we probably know the person who does. So we can put you in touch, we can facilitate that, and we can make sure that you get the best person to talk to make sure that you get what you need. We're very easy to access and work with. We try very, very hard to make it as easy as possible for you guys to get in. That means doing some of the paperwork, making sure you get the right forms, shortcutting any of the processes that we can shortcut. It's still obviously a difficult process to get anyone into a new building through the safety procedures, etc. But we try and make it as quick and as easy as possible, especially for industry users. But obviously I don't think there is any industry users in the room. No, so I don't need to talk too much on that side of things. But for researchers, most of you will actually want to be hands-on on the tool, so therefore we actually have to get you through the safety stuff and then onto the tool, but we do that as quickly as we possibly can. Our experts are there to train you up to the level you need to be trained at. So some people will actually just need to know how to turn on the machine, put their sample in, press go and walk away. Other people will need to know all of the ins and outs, how that particular technology works, how the characterization works, how much modeling they need to do on the other end, what kind of sample preparation they need. We can help you cover all of that. So we're not just here to train you to turn on an instrument, we're here to make sure that you know what you're doing on that instrument. We've also got local facilities, which also helps. So there's a number of key pieces of equipment that are replicated throughout the ANFF network to make sure that you can actually get onto the instruments you need locally, and then with the very expensive or the very high-end or the low-use instruments, they may be one of those in the country, but we'll make sure that you get that part of that process done and sent back up here to Queensland, and we facilitate that here. So here in Queensland, we have $20 million worth of tools. But it's not just a standalone tool. What we have are process trains. A lot of the fabrication is done not in one step, not in two steps, but possibly 5 or 6. So what Queensland and what most of the ANFF have done to this point is actually create process trains. So not only can you walk in and get a process done, you can actually go from the very start all the way through to the very end in one location. That reduces your time, it reduces the amount of time it takes between iteration cycles, it reduces all of the costs involved in doing production and fabrication. So please bear that in mind. You might get access to a tool, but you might not get the expertise behind it to use it properly, and you might not get all the ancillary equipment that you might need. So the ANFF-Q capabilities, as I mentioned, we're nominally the bio-nano node. So we work a lot at that biological material interface, how things interact with each other and how we can influence one or the other. So here are just some of the length scales that we work at and some of the technologies that we can access and some of the technologies that you can access through us. So we have the fabrication tools across the top, and then we have the characterization tools across the bottom. Today's course is mainly concerned with the fabrication and how you make different structures and shapes and sizes, etc. Down here is the characterization. We will mention some metrology, but they are as side bars to how you actually prove you've made something. We will do further workshops on characterization later in the year if you're interested in that kind of thing. But of course, no matter what you make, if you don't know you've made that thing as you've designed it, then it's completely useless to continue with it further into your fabrication or into your process. So it's always important to make sure that you validate anything that you've made. very quickly, because obviously this is a question that will be asked and it's something that we should always talk about up front, we do charge for our services. It's heavily subsidized and it's nowhere near cost recovery, especially for you guys, but it is something that we need to tell you up front, that we do actually charge for our services. Our standard rate is $55 an hour. That includes, if you're training, that's how much it costs, $55 an hour. If you're on a tool, that's how much it costs, $55 an hour. That is irrelevant whether it is a $50,000 tool or a $500,000 tool. That's how much we charge. If you're going to use this a lot, then what we do is you're able to take out memberships to reduce your hourly rate. They start at 50 hours at $19.25 and they go all the way down, if you're a really high-end user, down to a rate of $16.50 an hour, which, as you can imagine, barely covers the light and heat, never mind the actual running of the tool. But that's what we do for you guys. If you are industry, you do have to pay a little bit more, but you know, they can afford it. We're paying public, we're using public money. Public money has already subsidized this, so that's why you get the cheaper rates. However, if you do need us to do some work for you, we will charge you to actually use the person. This doesn't include training. Training is all, we give you our time for free when we're training you. But if you actually hand us a sample and say, go get me a result, we will charge you for that, the use of the person. So please bear that in mind. That's why we want to train you, because we only have 8 people, 8 technical people here in Queensland, are out in UQ, and 2 down in Griffith. So if everybody comes with their 1 sample or 2 samples, they don't have any time to do the training and to do the in-depth analysis with all of our users. Okay, so we'd like to get you guys on the tools as quickly as possible. Any questions on that so far? All right. So one of our professional officers, Whale, has put these slides together. We've decided that there he is down there. I've decided that I'm going to do those slides for him, because we don't want to be doing 5-minute handovers all the time today, just for consistencies. So I'm going to do this. As I make all these mistakes that I'm going to make, he's going to correct me. So why do we need clean rooms? So most of the technology that we will talk about in fabrication is housed in our clean rooms. A clean room is used in a lot of high-tech industries, and mainly the reason you're using it is that what you're making is subject to dirt, dust, something. So if you're in a normal atmosphere, you're going to destroy it by making it in that atmosphere, or it's not going to work well, or it's not going to be correct. So we put it into a clean room. Normal environments contain 35 million particles per meter cubed. So in this room, you've got something in the region of 35 million particles in every meter cubed of air. As you can imagine, that causes a bit of problem if you're trying to make something on the nanoscale or the low micron scale. Contaminants can be anything. They can be organic, non-organic, chemical, bugs, whatever it might be. But we need to keep those away. And we do that by using clean rooms. Clean rooms are basically a controlled environment that's got filters on the air handling that comes into the room. That's pretty much it. They come in all shapes and sizes. Some are more complicated than others. But in essence, they have a really big air handling system with a filter on the end of it. They're classified depending on how many particles of a particular size you get in that meter cubed of air. So our clean rooms are classified. We classify them under a particular standard, but here we have the different sets of standards that you can actually use. So these are all the different standards. ISO is the one that's becoming the most prevalent, but most of us will use the standard systems that you've probably heard up until this point. They classed as class 1,000, 10,000, 100, something in the region of that, so a tenth of something. So this is a plan of our clean room on level 2 of AIBN. We also have a clean room at Long Pocket in the Pandanus building, and that's a separate facility for PDMS work. We also have clean rooms at Griffith University. So you can so we've actually got 3 different clean rooms, all of which have slightly different ways of handling the air, but they're all running class either 10,000 or below. So most of our tools are housed in the class 10,000. We have 2 class 1,000 rooms in here for the high-end work. Okay. So the classification standards, as you can see here, are running through. These are the ISO numbers, as I say, are becoming more standard, but this is the FED standard, which is the one most people are still using, and we have class 10,000 and 1,000. So basically what it means is every class that you go down, you're scrubbing out 10%, you're going down a tenth of the level of air particles in that room. So you're cutting out, taking a 0 off each of those numbers as you drop going down. So you can imagine that as you go through it, it gets harder and harder to get higher and higher class clean rooms. Our clean rooms are classified class 10,000 and 1,000. They probably run much lower than that, and they run probably closer to the next level down, but they are classified at 10,000 and 1,000. What that gives you is an ability to make things that are at those levels without getting contaminated by dust and dirt. So you don't want to be making something at 200 micron scale and then having a bit of dust drop on that that's 100 microns, because you've lost your structure. And as we know, structure equals function. So these are just a couple of the rules and responsibilities. We're hitting you with these early. All the interesting stuff comes later. I get all the boring stuff, okay? So the rules and responsibilities when you're working in a clean room is pretty similar to what you would usually have in any kind of a lab environment. However, because it's more controlled, there are a few extra rules. Especially things that are very hazardous, you're required to know what's going on in that clean room when you go in. We have hydrofluoric acid in that room, so hydrofluoric acid is one of those things that you are required to know how to deal with, whether you're using it or not. Because if somebody else in that room has an accident, it's everybody's responsibility to make sure that person comes out of that as well as can be expected. Okay. All right, I am flying through here. It's excellent. Okay, so these are the contact details for ANFF-Q just in general. So we've got a standard email address and we have a website. That website has more information than you are ever going to need. I can assure you of that. But if there's anything on there, any technical information that you need that's not there, you just contact us, okay? And we will always have a conversation with you before we start any project, because if you come to us with a project, we will make sure that we can help you. The one thing that we will not do is start taking money off you for something we're not sure we can help you with. Okay? We will sit down with you, we will go through your project, we will plan out what you need, we will plan out how you're going to get the training, and we're going to see if we can actually do anything. We might even, it's possible we'll even do a little trial something to make sure that the idea in your head can actually be done. Because the last thing we want to do is waste time and money, because you're wasting ours as well as your own. So we make sure that before we start that there is actually a project to be done. Okay, so make sure that if you have an idea that you come and talk to us. We may not be able to help you, but we may, and that's the important thing. And if we can't help you, we might know somebody who can. So really make sure that when you come up with the idea, write it down, make a sketch, whatever, come and have a chat with us, and then we can make sure that when you come and actually use it or get trained on an instrument, it's the instrument you actually need. There's a number of times that people have come to us and say, I want to make this, I've seen the paper, it's going to be the way to do it. And we sit them down and say, okay, great, read the paper, wonderful, is that what you want to do? Oh no, I don't want to do this, what I want to do is this. But then why do you, if you want to do this, let's help you make it on this particular process, because it's going to give you better resolution, it's going to give you a higher structure, your aspect ratio is going to be better. All of these things we can reality check for you because we've got the expertise.